Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. It is 7:10 on the East Coast. I'm Dave Globin. You're not Boogie with the Bull. Thursday night live. I apologize profusely. I took a nap and overslept about a half an hour, and I'm charged and ready to go. So Jen Woodruff has been invited to join us. I hope she does. Ichabod Palmer will try if he can. He's dealing with his son's legal issues tonight and was not sure he would be able to be with us. And looking for Vincent Morrow, a moderator of one of our groups who you've seen all over Facebook and doing TikTok videos as well, was invited to join us. Jerry Michaels, the resident guest, was invited to join us. Nikki Young, and anybody who sees me on, you're more than welcome to come to the Dave Globin profile and take the link, which I will put on the screen right now. Give me just about a half a second. Whoops, wait a minute. That's not what I want to do. This is how I want to do it. There, show that. So the link is on the bottom of the screen. Give me a moment as I slide down to the post of us in progress. Get the chat room on my profile open. Of course, this is going to be difficult. There we go. The live chat is open on the Dave Globin profile. It's also open on the Boogie with the Bull channel over there on YouTube. Give me half a second. And beaming in right now, well, trying to beam in right now, is Ann. And looking for Vincent Morrow, who is in a black box today because she's in a black box today.
Sorry about that. I don't like to put my face online because of what I'm going through right now. So, yeah.
That's all right. I don't like my face on there because of what I go through every day on Facebook. But I figure they know who I am anyway. So, and I did something stupid and I can't figure out how to correct it. I was working on one of my Android tablets and I managed to delete my whole photo gallery. So I went to Google and I installed a backup, but unfortunately, I guess I gave permission to Meta so that Meta can go in and look at all of my pictures anytime they want.
Oh, no.
Most of my pictures are stored on my Facebook profile anyway, so it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter that they've probably seen them all. They probably fully investigated me and realized that I'm no threat to anybody.
Well, that doesn't matter.
and they'd probably only come to talk to me because they'd want to say, they'd knock on my door and go, "Do you know Ann? Do you know this one? Do you know that one? You know?" and I would go, "Say what? No speaking English," and slam the door.
There you go.
Or ask them because the Rottweiler is barking. I'd ask them, "Do you speak Rottweiler?"
Right. There you go.
Talk to my legal advisor. But here we are. and I apologize profusely to everybody because I decided to take a nap and slept 15 minutes longer than I should have. And anyway, here we are. So what is new and exciting? I mean, as I had said, I see you doing TikTok videos. I see you posting in all the groups as moderator. I see you posting on your own. And what is news?
What is news? I don't know. I've had my head in my own situation for a while. What is news? Right?
Well, Epstein's list is finally out, and I don't know if people are running scared because they're afraid that there may be some fallout from being on the list, or whether or not they're just talking to their fellow senators and representatives to make sure that they don't, that there is no fallout. Got to wonder if Congress is going to do the best to protect themselves, regardless of party.
Exactly.
President doesn't know Well, the good thing for Joe Biden is he probably doesn't remember whether or not he's been there anyway. So he's probably going to say that he has, and then end up getting impeached.
Right.
Whether he's been there or not.
Right.
So I don't know what to tell people. I really don't. I planned on doing. I posted a meme which was 2024 January, which is this month. Critical January dates. It's a draft list. I don't know who put it out, but it lists whatever is going on. I'm assuming from the other side of the aisle every day in the month of January. Like on January 1st, it says Russia assumed presidency of BRICS, BRICS, for 1 year. Speaker Johnson is on a border trip down at the southern border. On the 4th of January, the Colorado 14th Amendment Trump case, I guess, hit the Supreme Court. Who knows what will happen? I don't know if it's the state Supreme Court or the actual real Supreme Court looking for a decision. And then on Saturday, I guess, is the third anniversary of January 6th. And then we move into next week, and that starts with Monday and Tuesday, the 8th and 9th, with Dr. Fauci behind closed doors under oath for assorted depositions that I don't know whether or not will make him president of the United States or get him
it's just 63 cents a day.
In one of those new comfy long-term stays over at Gitmo.
Yeah, let's hope for Gitmo. I don't think he looks good in the president's chair. The colors clash, Yeah.
Well, it would be an easy way to get rid of him, because I guess if he's still working for the government, he was making more than the president. So if I was the president, I'd be going, well, we're going to find a reason to dump this guy.
Yeah, true.
But Robin Brunson is in the live chat on the Dave Globin profile. And then also, don't forget, we're on the Boogie with the Bull YouTube channel, where you can join the live chat over there. YouTube serves no purpose other than suspending me for speaking ill truth and or a means of sharing Boogie with the Bull broadcasts when I didn't want them to be shared from Facebook. So we kind of put up with that. Robin, our guest is Anne.
Please be the one.
Looking for Vincent Morrow. She is one of the moderators in all of our groups. She's a conservative patriot, good gal, good guy, one of us. And for today's testimony, she has asked to wear the elegant black box. so that if I'm ever standing next to her at some function, I can't just turn around and go, hey, there's Anne looking for Vincent Morrow. and hope that everybody runs across the event to meet Anne, as I used to do in my radio days when I worked at KLIV, when we had live events and people would come up and go, "Who are you?" And I'd go, "I'm just somebody here to enjoy the festivities," and then someone would yell, "There's Dave Globin." And everybody would turn around and look at the door, and they'd all go running up, trying to figure out whether or not they met me. Most would come back and still talk to me. And then I would say to them, when they called in on the radio show that night, "You actually met me, but you don't remember." But Jerry Michaels is with us from the American Rebellion, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday over on Rumbleland. And what is new and exciting with you, Mr. Jerry?
Nothing. Same thing every day. Otherwise, we're moving along expeditiously. Hello, Robin Brunson. How are you?
Yep. Did you read?
I missed something here. Somebody else on here with us? I missed something.
Yeah. Yes. There's a black box. There's a black box above you. On the left side of the screen, I believe, and next to me is a black box. Her name is Anne, looking for Vincent Morrow. She is one of the moderators in all 7 of our groups. She's active in a lot of other groups. She does TikTok videos, which get posted on Facebook and other places.
Okay, that's great.
She
Why
has-
is she black box? I don't know.
She asked Wardrobe if they could outfit her in a black box to protect her face. I guess. I don't know.
They were clearly beyond.
Yeah, I have a thing going on. That's why I don't want to show my face because, it's complicated.
Yeah. Okay. So she's in a black box. One of these days, we're going to do a broadcast Boogie with the black box, and we're all going to be in a black box.
Oh, there you go.
and everybody will feel comfortable. But let's see. Jen Woodruff got invited. I don't know if she will be with us. Ichabod Palmer is dealing with his son's legal issues and did not believe he would be able to join us. If he can, he will. But he was not sure if he could. And Randy Rhodes got an invite. Don't know whether or not he'll come. And if I see William Rayfield in the live chat, I will send him an invite. Other than that, it's just us and doing what we normally do, having a robust chat amongst those of us who are on your screen and those of you who are in the live chats. Larry Burns is on, so that means we are international. We're live on Facebook Canada. And Robin Brunson is in the live chat, and hopefully more will come. I didn't do a last minute promo to let everybody know that we're on, but everybody who follows me knows that I'm on anyway. It's in if you're a friend of mine, it's in the Facebook news feed right now, or notifications that we're live. And it all kind of fell apart at the last minute. Next time I will set my alarm to go off a half an hour earlier than I set it to go off tonight. So I was going to ask you, Jared, did you finish reading all 945 or 954 pages of the list of party guests over from Epstein Island?
No.
Okay. Did you read it, Jerry?
That's why we have you, Dave, for you to read it and tell us.
I started to read it, but unfortunately I was using an Android tablet and it couldn't seem to comprehend the PDF file, so I left it.
Probably disgusting.
I left it alone. Tomorrow I'm going to
Disgusting,
whip it.
Dave.
Well, I'll probably be disgusted anyway. I'm going to whip out a Windows 10 device that I have tomorrow that is capable of handling big things like that and reading it. I am not going to print it out. If anybody thinks I'm actually going to print it out and repost it, no, I'm not going to waste 945 sheets of paper to print out the whole thing, only because, as I said to Ann before you joined us, Jerry, I personally don't think anybody who is on the list that is currently in either the House or the Senate or any Democrat organization of the government thereof, including the Department of Justice, is going to be brought up on any of this and dealt with, because they're too busy fighting each other over whether or not Joe Biden or Donald Trump is going to be the next president. And I hope that people do read it, and it's too bad you can't just like go somewhere and put in the state that you're in and all of your House reps and all of your 2 senators. You could just run them through and search just to see if they're on it. And then, anyone else in the government that you might want to look to see whether or not.
I see Trump is on it.
but he says he's never been to the island. Bill Clinton used that excuse when he first appeared on a list, saying that because Epstein donated money to the foundation, or may have been running the foundation, financial end of it, I don't know, that he did use the Lolita Express at one time or another for trips related to his politics and not as a vacation hotspot. But, that's probably a lie too. And, I think.
Well,
Go ahead.
I'm not happy his name is on the list.
I'm
going to tell you that now. I'm not happy.
I'm not either. But if he sits before a congressional committee and says, here's my itinerary. This is what I did on that day. I jumped on the Lolita Express wherever I was and flew home to West Palm Beach, or I flew to Trump Tower in New York. I've never been to the island. They have no proof that I've ever been there. I knew him, blah, 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 whatever. And, do you believe him or do you not believe him?
I think that's what happened. He got the plane ride from one state and he went to New York.
Yeah.
And that's what I heard. So he wasn't ever on the island. So right. I don't know.
And I would tend to believe him if he says that, whether or not Congress, they wouldn't try him on that anyway, because he's not president right now. So if they were going to accuse him of a crime, it would be in the courts. And I don't think the Democrats want to bring a case to any court for an indictment on Trump having ever been at Epstein Island, because Trump and his lawyers are very likely to say, well, there's proof that you asking me this question not only rode on the plane, but you were at the island. So I don't really know. Alan, the sexy voice, as you said it, is one of my favorite moderators of our 7 groups. Her name is Ann, looking for Vincent Morrow. And she does do TikTok videos, which you can see on Facebook. You can also see them on TikTok. Ann, is your face on your TikTok videos?
No.
Okay. Well, her face is not on her TikTok videos too. And she had said there are things that preclude her from showing her face. I've never had that issue. What I've tried to do a lot of times, if I had time, I would have asked one of my graphics people to whip up something that she could use to make it look like she was on radio. When Michael Anthony and I did the Dark Side Radio Network broadcast, he always looked like he was a talking radio. So it doesn't really bother me. I mean, I've been on Facebook for 15 years. They know who I am. I know enough about who they are, and there's really no reason to hide. And I've never been on the Lolita Express, and I have never been to Epstein Island, unless maybe I was sleeping and didn't know. But to the best of my knowledge, I have never been on Epstein Island, and I really would have no desire to go. But Dave, if anyone has a reason to hide their face, it's her.
I don't think it's a joking matter at all.
Right.
I think it's disgusting, and I think everyone should be taken out into the shot in the back of the head.
Well, I
Yeah.
agree. I agree that everybody should be, if you're sitting in the House and you're sitting in the Senate or you're working for the government and there is enough proof to show that you were there and you took part in bad things. We lost Ann. Uh,
Listen,
then
Dave. Listen to me. I don't care if your work as a janitor. If you were there, you need to be taken out.
well, that's
I'm
what
not
I'm
playing this
right.
game.
Right.
I
But
don't give a damn if you're in the House, Senate. I don't care if you're the president. I don't care if you're the janitor. All right, you need to be
right.
taken
No,
out. This
I
and the people that allowed this to keep going need to be taken out. All right, this thing has been known for years and years and years. No one has done a damn thing about it.
Okay. Getting some music feedback over summer. I agree, Jerry, 100% that here they need to be taken out. They need to be tried, but I don't trust that marinated in garlic's Democrat heavy Department of Justice is going to take any of them out, which is all the more reason why he should be removed. The whole Department of Justice should be removed. And that's the weird thing. We don't have any other, for lack of putting it better, bureaucracy within the federal government that can investigate this. And even if you are 100% guilty, you still get your opportunity to go to court and either look everybody in the face and say, yes, I'm 100% guilty, do whatever you're going to do. Or you get your opportunity to say, no, I'm not, and still end up with whatever is going to be done. And now I would guess that there are probably enough politicians on both sides of the aisle in both bodies of Congress that, what do we do? Do we throw them all out? It doesn't matter if you're on that list or not. Do we throw them all out and in November elect people who have never served before, give them the customary lame duck session to learn the job, and then try them? Or do we not even bother to send it to Congress? We just move it into the courts and hope justice is served. Okay. Do you? I don't. I'm trying to figure out an answer to tell people that are watching. My answer is, yeah, if you were there and you can prove that, it could be proven that you were there. And obviously, if you're on the list, there's a very good chance that you were there. And if you rode in his plane, maybe you are as guilty as someone who was there and did things, even if you didn't, because you probably knew what was going on the island anyway and stayed quiet or took his money. And so I don't know. I also think that they waited so long to drop for the complete list to get out from whoever put it out this time, because it seems that this is listing much more than any previous list, that it's the only word that comes to mind in my head is election interference, because it's going to throw a major kink in the November midterm elections because, I don't know. No, I wish it was as easy as just saying it doesn't matter if you've ever been to the island or took money from him. You had knowledge of what he was doing. You didn't say anything. You're as guilty as everybody else. And, you deserve whatever justice you get based on what your level of involvement can be proven. Larry says they're trying to hurt Donald Trump. Larry, they probably are because, like I said, Trump says that he was never there. I don't have any proof, and I'm not going to look for any proof as to whether or not he was ever there. I'm taking him at his word that he has probably never been there, but he did know him. He may have used the plane to go someplace other than the island. And then, the odds are when you sit him down, he's going to say, here's my agenda from that day. I got on the plane in West Palm Beach, up the road from Mar-a-Lago, and I flew to New York and had meetings at Trump Tower. I didn't go anywhere near him. I didn't go anywhere near the island. This is what I did. I could prove my whole day. And I took, the Trump Force One. My jet picked me up in New York and took me home. So, and it's documented in my financial reports. This is what I did. And they have, then you have to take him at his word that that's what he did. Bill Clinton, on the other hand, who has said, I've never been there before, and there seems to be a lot of conflicting evidence against that, says that he did the same thing. He used the jet once or twice on business because Epstein was associated with the Clinton Foundation and blah, 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 blah. Do I believe that? Probably not. Would I get an honest answer from Bill if he was on a broadcast? Probably not. Knowing him and doing something are two different things. Yes, knowing him and knowing Epstein and using the plane and showing, here's my financials, I've never been to the island, so I don't know what's going on or whatever happened at the island or what he may have been involved in is different than being on the island. But as well as I do, Larry, that whoever is going to end up investigating him is going to, dig as deep as they can to prove that anybody whose name comes up on that list was there or how they knew him. And, the whole thing is a big mess. It's like Jerry said, everybody who knew him, maybe it should be everybody who knew him is guilty of something because they knew him and there's no way to prove. Had they been there, what did they know? It's one of those things that, I think they just dropped it. Like I said, that they dropped the whole list or the most in-depth list they could have right now because maybe they think that a lot of Congress will have to step down. They'll end up firing a bunch of other government people. I don't know. There was a lot of background noise. And you have to turn your speaker on. You got to turn your speaker on.
Oh, okay. It's not on?
Turn the show on.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Turn the show on.
Okay.
She's got the show. All right, stop. She's got the show on in the background. She's got to turn it off.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I didn't realize it was so loud.
Yeah.
Or let me turn it down. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. No.
There. That's better.
You got to turn it. You got to turn it off, or it's going to keep echoing. Yeah,
Yeah.
see,
You got to
it's
turn
echoing. You got
yeah.
to turn it off
All
all
right.
the way.
Yeah. You
Oh.
gotta, yeah.
Okay.
Watch it through the broadcast.
Okay. Oh, it was just the regular TV that I had on.
Okay.
Yeah.
No. I can still hear me in the background. So something has Facebook on.
Oh.
Whatever device has Facebook on it, you have to log out of Facebook.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Let me see if I can. Where am I? Oh yeah, I've got a few things going on here.
Yeah, whatever has Facebook on it, you have to log out of.
Oh, I have to log out of it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm afraid to do that because I have stalkers. The last time I actually logged out, I couldn't get back in and I lost my Facebook account.
Okay. All right. Then what I have to do is I got to cut you off because it's going to feed back the whole time. But we'll figure out another way. We'll do it again.
Okay. All right. Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. You can't have Facebook on in the background. It just causes the feedback. But I don't know what people want me to say. It's a big mess, and yes, most of Congress is probably on that list, and most of them. If your name is on the list, you should probably be removed pending the outcome of whatever action is taken against you. And I don't know where that leaves us with Congress right now, so I don't really know. Ichabod says hang them all. But see, that's okay, Ichabod, and maybe that works because if there are more Democrats involved, more Senate Democrats involved, and no Senate Republicans involved, we end up with a majority. I don't really know. It's I don't really know. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is someone's name is on the list and they're probably, I'm going to assume that they're probably guilty of something, but they have to be given their chance to prove that they are, just like any other American. But maybe you should have to step down from your congressional seat, your government job, doesn't matter what you are. If you're a federal employee, you step down until this is all done. And I don't really know. I think I'm going to keep coming to the same point that I think somebody made sure once they had as heavy of a list as they did now, probably showing both sides, that most of the government is involved. And again, if they're indicted, then they need to step down until this is all done. And if it's proven, or when it's proven that they were involved, then yeah. And I don't know what happens, but maybe this will be the big enough case to get us to, I don't know how we do it, close down Congress, have a special election, re-elect new ones who have never served, and go from there. But unfortunately, there's so much crap going on here in America that we don't have the time to just lock them all out and find 100 new senators and 500 plus members of Congress and get them up to date to do what they need to do. If Joe Biden's name is on the list, then I would think just on what they currently have that could possibly get him impeached, he's gone. But then you got to wonder if Kamala Harris's name is on the list, then she's gone too. And that brings it down and makes Mike Johnson the new Speaker of the House, the President of the United States. And I don't know how we go about rebuilding Congress. I don't know what we do. Can I? Okay. And Jerry's mic is off. So wait. But
okay. First of all, I don't give a flying damn on how the government is rebuilt. I don't give a flying damn about whose side had more people there. I don't have a flying damn about any of it. All these people need to be killed. I don't give a shit because they don't give a shit. This crap has been going on too freaking long.
Yeah.
The government knew it was.
It froze for a second.
And we sit here and we're worried about how we're going to have elections. We're going to have to be fucking cheated. And that'll be the end of that. Okay? It doesn't, none of this shit matters. Because they're not going to do anything about it. And this is the problem in this country. And we need to take the fuck over. Because I'm tired of this shit. There is no excuse for any of this.
No.
That son of a bitch never got his day in court, luckily, and I'm glad about it. I don't care if they killed him or he committed suicide. I'm glad he's fucking dead.
Yep.
They've kept this list from the American public. They keep the list from the American public that all these guys use the slush fund to pay off sexual assault, claims and all the rest of it. Okay, they are all they need to go.
Yep.
I don't even care if they resign or they're hung by the neck. I don't care anymore. They need to get out. We're sitting here worried about elections. They're going to cheat this next election. Guarantee it.
Yep.
Guarantee it.
They probably already
and everybody's going to be screaming, oh my God, Trump got screwed. Trump's on that fucking list. Okay? If Trump was innocent completely and he knew what was going on after he threw him out of Margot Law and all this other crap I keep hearing, why the hell was he on his damn plane?
I don't know.
I said last night on our show that if Trump's on this list, I'm done with Trump. And I got to tell you, I'm hanging by a freaking thread right now. Because I don't care. Pedophiles need to be taken out and killed.
Okay.
And left for the furry critters of the forest to eat them. Because these people are horrific. We have a government that is the biggest child trafficking and drug trafficking organization in the world. And we're worried about Trump. Trump is a friggin' billionaire. At the end of the day, Trump don't give a shit about us. Okay? You don't give a shit about Dave. You don't give a shit about Jerry. You don't give a shit about the people. Trump's a fucking billionaire. Yeah, he was a good president. But I'm going to tell you right now, if that son of a bitch ever stepped foot on that fucking island, he needs to be taken out. I got no use for that shit.
Mm-hmm.
I am so over this border thing and the child trafficking and the women trafficking and the sex trafficking and all the goddamn trafficking. And this freaking government hasn't done shit about nothing. And it is time immediately for that to change. Kids get missing off the street every single day in this country, sent to God knows where. It's horrific.
Yeah.
God
It
forbid
is.
the son of a bitch I ever catch doing it.
Yep.
Because I hope God loves them, because I sure as hell won't care.
No. I said this on a post in one of my groups that I don't remember who put it up and what side of the aisle they were on, but I said something that we grew up with that song or hymn. I don't know if it's one of, but it was Jesus loves the children, all the little children of the world, and then it lists all different colors and races, and they're beautiful in his sight or perfect in his sight. And I will come back to like the same point that you just did. God stood back and 6 million people lost their lives in concentration camps in Germany. Children are losing their lives because they're dragged into the United States against their will. And as I've said several times, they're violated from the time they get here until the time they get into Canada. And who knows what happens with them when they get into Canada, and worse, who knows what happens to them while they're here, because they may not even make it to Canada. And it isn't. And I can't for the life of me understand that the God that I've grown up with for 61 years and prayed to throughout the day and prayed last thing at night before I go to bed and first thing in the morning when I wake up. I used to say that I believed that God was a creationist, and God had this whole thing figured out, had a plan on how he was going to build it from the smallest neuron or atom, whatever you want to call it, to the biggest, whatever you could think of. He had it all worked out, and he just had a big bang, and that started the whole thing in motion. And I don't understand why there's war. I don't understand why people die in concentration camps. I certainly don't understand why children, the purest people on this planet, the only thing they know is right. Because wrong is something you're taught. But and I can't believe that a just God watching over his people and his future people hasn't stopped it. Randy Rhodes is in the live chat. All roads lead to home genealogy. It's a group on Facebook, and go in and read up on the group. You see Randy all around. Randy, a pleasure to have you on. I think I sent you a link. If I didn't send you the link, Randy, take the link, and if you want to come on, you are more than welcome to. You're more than welcome to come on. It's more fallout on the list being revealed. It started with that list of things going on in January. I guess someone in the Democrat side listed everything that is going to happen or supposed to happen in the month of January. Like today is the 4th, and it says the Colorado 14th Amendment Trump trial, Supreme Court. I don't know if that means that it went before the Supreme Court in Washington, D.C. today, or if it went before the Colorado Supreme Court. And nothing's happening tomorrow. Saturday, the 6th, is the 3rd anniversary of January 6th. And because we don't do another broadcast until Tuesday, the 9th, we'll spend a good amount of Tuesday's appointment talking about January 6th and how our government is still continuing to deny people their rights, and I don't know anymore. The Justice Department, led by someone who didn't get to the Supreme Court, I think he's taking that out on the American people, and or just listening to people doing whatever he is being told to do. I mean, I don't understand. It just seems that more and more and more and more in the last half of my life up to now, the Attorney General has done less for the citizens of the United States of America and more for the president that made them the Attorney General. And so, maybe it's time for part of this. Maybe it's time for Mr. Garland to step down. It's definitely time for Secretary Mayorkas to step down. The entire Department of Homeland Security to be, I don't know, meet a tree or up against a wall or whatever you want to do, because, we're not doing anything to stop what is coming in on the southern border. And, I've said before, one of the best ideas I heard was one night on a broadcast, somebody said 8 million gun owners should go down to the southern border and just do what they got to do to keep them from coming in. Governor Abbott, all the states, all the southern border states should be able to put up whatever they need to put up on their portion and just finish up and do it. In the long run, I guess it doesn't complete the wall the way the wall needs to be completed, because the last portion goes through Indian land, and they have refused, and they have a right to do, and I understand that. They have refused to allow the border to go through theirs. But as people have said on Terry's broadcast, on my broadcast, you don't want to be arrested illegally trying to enter the United States on an Indian reservation, because they have a completely different judicial system than what you're likely to find if you walk in someplace else. But let me scroll up a little bit because I can't see. Alan says, "Oh, that's not what I wanted." There it is. That's the one I wanted. Cartels at the border are doing it by the hundreds on a daily basis. You're 100% right, Alan. And I can't tell you why it is why it is still going on. I can't tell you why. Hold on, turn that alarm off. I can't tell you why it is still going on, other than there are people in the government that don't care, and the government is probably part of what is going on. And I don't know what the answer is. I'm waking up as we look. Wait, hang on a minute. That's on my head. I overslept. I didn't hold on. I didn't review my stuff as ready as much as I should have when I came on, and I figured that other people would be here today, and it would be a round table discussion. And as we say a lot on Boogie with the Bull, and it does happen on other broadcasts, but as we say a lot on Boogie with the Bull, sometimes we just keep beating things into the ground, and we know the answer, but we don't understand why our government isn't doing it. We know. We said on Tuesday, $135,000 a day, I think, to store the panels to complete the rest of the Trump wall, guarded by panels that President Biden had built to his specifications. And someone, I think Alan might have made a comment. Someone made a comment that maybe it was Ichabod, I think, made a comment. It was Ichabod, made a comment that Biden may have sold some of the Trump panels. Another thing that, America, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, but another thing that your president may have done, I have to say may, because I don't know if he actually did. I don't know. I don't know anything about it other than knowing that they were being stored. And, as I said to Jen on Tuesday, I think it was, I don't understand why we haven't finished the wall. The money was given to Congress to finish the wall. So I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. I apologize for my tone, like I said, because I woke up late and I'm not prepared, and I ran around the bedroom studio trying to get things in place and all set, ready to rock and roll. And when we jumped on, I was not as ready as I should have been, and sometimes that happens. Had a lot going on my own world away from the broadcast today, so I didn't spend as much time working on one as I usually do. So forgive me, but sometimes that happens. I did have a list of things that I hoped if there was a panel we would discuss. But again, talking about the Epstein list is really not going to do any good. Talking about it really isn't going to do any good. We all know that, if you're on the list, then you're going to be investigated, I'm sure. And because, unfortunately, you get your day in court to prove whether or not you're guilty of whatever. And if you are, and maybe it should be that if you rode on his plane and if you rode on his plane and if you rode on his plane, you're guilty, period. Whether you went to the island or not, you're guilty. Because he used the plane to allow business to be done on his island and a lot of illegal things to happen around the United States and wherever else the plane flew. So you're guilty. And if you had your money had his money invested in your investment businesses, you probably knew what was going on, and you're guilty, and if you were his lawyer, you probably knew what was going on, but attorney-client confidentiality, this is what has to stop. This is what has to stop in this country. This is what has to stop in this country. Ichabod, if you want to come on and if you want to come on and bring us up to date on your son's court case, you're more than welcome to pop in. Jerry Michael's internet acted up, and he had to shut off. We're kind of in one of those days where it rains when it wants to rain here in Florida. Usually, if it's raining down where Jerry is, about 15 minutes after it starts down there, it usually ends up here. And if it's not raining down there, when it's raining down here, then actually, no, Callan. I'm going to put this one on the screen, and we're going to talk transportation business, which people tell me they don't like me to talk about. But Alan, no, you are not guilty of taking part in a bank robbery if a person calls you for a cab or an Uber and goes to the bank and robs the bank, or called me for a ride to have a limousine come pick them up and take them to the bank, and you rob the bank and get back in the limousine and go wherever when you come out. No, we're not guilty, because if you called and said, I need to hire a limousine to take me to the bank and I'm going to go rob the bank, I would have said, no, we're not sending you a limousine. Okay? And Uber knows that, or at least when I was driving Uber, that they were used for people going to score their illegal purchases and all of that. And that's just, you don't know. Someone gets in your car, they tell you where they're going, you drop them off. You don't know what they're going to do there. You don't know anything about what they're going to do until the next time they get in your car and go. Or if you get told, if law enforcement pulls up and says, you got to leave now because there's a bank robbery, or they may ask who you're waiting for, and when you tell them, they're going to say, well, he's the person who is inside that caused the robbery. They're going to take a statement. You're going to have to testify this, that, and the other thing. But no, you're not guilty. That company, that driver is not guilty. I mean, the way the business works, we're not guilty because you called us and said you needed a ride somewhere, and we took you somewhere, and you jump back in the car and leave. Because we don't know what you did when you were inside. We have no idea whether you did anything legal or illegal or what you did. It's just a transportation. It's just transportation. And that's why, unfortunately, bank robbers are stupid. Bank robbers are stupid, and they'll call a cab or they'll hire a car and a driver to take them. But the point is, Alan, if you rode on the plane and you don't have any idea what he did on his island, and you didn't go to the island, and you reported the flight that you did and what you were doing, right? Thank you. Larry said it best. And I'm not arguing with you, Callan, or I'm not arguing with you, Alan, other than, and I did. I said before Jerry's internet crapped out and he left, I said, because you're on that list, you're going to be investigated. If they don't find anything that proves that you were on the island or that you might have knowledge of what was going on that island, and you just, a friend loaned you his jet to go from the airport near your house to another airport, and that's all you did, then, and a lot of the names that are on the list are probably going to might not even be. Everybody's guilty until they're proven. Everyone is, we've changed it to you're guilty until you're proven innocent in this country, but really it's the other way around. You're innocent until you're proven guilty. Just because your name is on the list does not mean that you're guilty of anything. It just means that your name is on that list. Okay? If you knew about what was going on Epstein Island, because Epstein was a money man, and if he had investments in your hedge fund or whatever, you sold him gold or something, and you knew about what was going on the island and you stayed quiet because you were making a lot of money, no, you're guilty. You're guilty. Well, I did, Alan, and I think what was coming out of my mouth at the time, understanding that sometimes the words that come out of my mouth are not necessarily what my demented brain hears. I was alluding to the fact that if you used Epstein's plane and you hadn't ever been to the island, but you knew what was going on the island, and you knew about the illegal activities that Epstein was involved in, then you're as guilty, but you never said anything, then you're as guilty as he is because you didn't do anything to stop it. And like I said further back in the broadcast, the problem is that probably everybody who is currently in Congress, the House and the Senate, is on that list. And that's all I meant was if you have to impeach them all, have a special election to reelect them all. The problem is, do we suspend the business of the House, which is running America's checkbook, and whatever technically it is the Senate does, and shut down the entire government? What are we doing? What are we doing? It's like if I could say if Joe Biden's name was on the list, there's already enough evidence, the FBI claims they have, that he could be impeached and in jail for the rest of his life. So if his name is on the list, add that charge to whatever indictment you give him, and that's between lawyers and courts and whatever to figure out what he's actually guilty of. But he steps down and Kamala Harris becomes president. But the question is that if Biden knew what was going on, she probably has to know what was going on because she's the number two. And so then you get down to Mike Johnson, who's now the Speaker of the House. If his name is on the list, he goes. But it's easy there. You just boot him out and they elect another one, another speaker. So they do. And they do, Alan, and I keep saying they do, Alan, and it's 100% true. Because Nancy Pelosi said it best once. She said that it's easy to give money. You can come to the House and ask for, $100 gazillion billion to see how many quarters you can fit in this size mason jar, and you get it. And it turns out when you issue your final report, you only used $2.50. They don't take it back because I guess they're not set up to take it back. Once they give it, it's been assigned somewhere. So most of those hush fund accounts that are taxpayer dollars, I'm assuming, were created by something like that. They gave $100 billion to something stupid that has a final report date 100 years after we're all dead, and that money's just sitting there. Well, we think it's just sitting there, but it's not, because that money was allocated someplace else. So, and that's until we get the head, I don't know what you want to call him, accountant, or the head auditor of the House and Senate to go through and do a complete audit from A to Z of every member's office, both in Washington, D.C. and their district offices at home, and anything else related to them, and take back money. I mean, they know where money is. And so, I mean, like I said, it could be that the former Speaker, now Representative Pelosi, called in to testify, says, yeah, we gave $100 gazillion billion to count quarters in a mason jar, and that report's not due until 100 years from now, but this is how we've been using the money. I would think that when she's been caught with her hand in the cookie jar, you would think that to lessen her sentence, whatever it's going to be, the final judgment, or getting lucky to live in a federal prison for until you're not living any longer, that's that answer, and we know all of this. So it's like Larry says, who gives a duck? And you can say the word fuck, Larry. Actually, Larry, what I've learned on Facebook, and it's kind of funny, I'll put your comment up on the screen. You put who gives a duck? Nothing is going to happen. You can say on a broadcast just about anything you want, and they can't nail you for it, although YouTube does. YouTube will nail you if you say something that they believe is false. They will nail you. They'll tell you what it was, and they will clip it out of your broadcast. Or they'll suspend you for saying something wrong for a week, 3 weeks, a month, a year, who knows. But you're better off being on camera and saying, who gives a fuck, than typing in who gives a fuck. And the case that proves that is, I was watching a broadcast one day, and the guy who hosted it said, we should take a bunch of catapults and put them down on the southern border, and as fast as they enter illegally, we should put them in the catapults and shoot them back. And I typed into the live chat, catapults. I love it. That's exactly what we should do. Put them in it and fire them back. And I think I got a week. I couldn't comment on broadcasts on Facebook for a week because they decided that was promoting something illegal. So anyway, but if videos turn up, it will only be against Republicans. Yep, you're probably 100% right. It will happen, but not against Donald Trump. And the reason is, like Jerry said before, his internet took him away from us tonight. He's a billionaire, and he's got some of the best legal minds in the country representing him. And you know. But I guess what people have to decide is they have to decide, America has to decide whether or not someone who just used the plane here and there, never been to the island, didn't know what was going on the island, didn't know what was going on how the plane was being used. And then shows on their financial records that they have to turn in that, at 11 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, the Lolita Express and her flight crew picked me up in West Palm Beach at the airport and flew me to New York. And hold on a minute. Let me send Randy Rhodes a quick the link. Give me a minute here. I have to do it on here, and let me get into. Give me a second. There it is. I think it's here. Delilah. All right, Randy, that's the link right there, and it is tested. It is, in fact, the link that we're on. Take that, pop on. And we've only got about a half an hour left. Anyway, is the guy refueling the jet guilty too? No, the guy refueling the jet is not guilty because he has no idea where the plane is going. It's just his job to put gas in the plane before it takes off. He's not responsible for it. Because, you could keep kicking it up and say everybody's responsible, but then are all the, what do you call them? People that work in the towers. Are they anyone that tracked that flight from where it originated to where it landed? Are they responsible? Whether or not they're responsible when Bill Clinton has to testify and he's trying to prove that he's never been there, Epstein's flight crew is going to have to testify or be asked to testify to prove that he was there. And who knows what flight records. There obviously has to be some flight records somewhere. But, it's, if anything, this thing dropped like a bombshell now with a bunch of names that will mess up the government, cause a delay on the 2024 election, which some people think isn't going to happen. It's another thing because Trump's name is on it now, so he has to be investigated. That's another thing to tie up whether or not he gets put on the ballot. So, it's just, it's not going to stop. It's just not going to stop. And as Jerry had started to say, that if Trump used the plane and it's confirmed that he used the plane, then maybe he's guilty. But I want people to understand that I'm seeing more and more and more and more and more posts on Facebook that say Trump is coming back with a vengeance. And the vengeance is over how he was treated from 2020 up to now. If Trump comes back tomorrow as president of the United States with a Democrat House and a Democrat Senate, they're going to impeach him and he's going to be gone regardless of what he did or didn't do, because they have the votes. They're just going to do it. That's their mission, according to Nancy Pelosi. Make sure he never serves another day as president. So there are Republicans I know that think if that's all that's going to happen for the 4 years that he is back, 2024 to 2028 until they find a way to impeach him, or it's 2028 and he's done. Where does that put him in what he needs to do, pick up and get done for America now, or any president? Randy Rhodes is on and he wanted 30 minutes, and I'm going to bring him in because if I don't, there will be less than 30 minutes, and I'll owe him 5 minutes. Or I'll owe him a 5-minute infomercial on a future Boogie with a Bull broadcast.
Okay, so the list finally got released. The Speaker of the House said he's going to do it. The new Speaker of the House said he's going to do it, and they finally got it done. You know, to address President Donald Trump, okay, so his name appears on it several times as a passenger. Now, I don't know too much about the actual jet that was being used to transport folks around. Was there a jet specific to just being like a taxi cab to where wealthy people can use Epstein's jet and fly from New York to Florida to Ireland, wherever he has his properties, and so forth? Or was the jet that's being provided also have on board young ladies and young boys to entertain the passengers as they're traveling to the island? So,
well, okay, but but like I said, if Jeffrey Epstein said, Randy, I know that you want to fly from Lancaster County Airport to Jacksonville Airport in Florida to go visit your good friend Dave. Use my jet. It'll pick you up. It'll pick you up in Lancaster in Pennsylvania and fly you to Pennsylvania. You get on the plane and it's just you, or maybe another adult, maybe some other adults, and Epstein has told you, we're just going to drop you. The plane's going to drop you in Florida, and then these people are going on someplace else.
okay,
You don't know. You're not going to know where those people are going, whether they're going to an Epstein property or they're doing illegal business with Epstein. That's all I'm saying.
If I was a wealthy person and Epstein's folks said, hey, we have available space on our jet to fly you and a companion to wherever, at no charge to you. There'll be champagne served on board, and there'll be hors d'oeuvres, blah, blah, blah. If I knew that Epstein's business and primary source of income was from the sale of young girls and boys, I wouldn't get on the plane, because.
But Epstein was a financial genius. Epstein invested in a lot of things you might not know. Bill Clinton that's what Bill Clinton is saying. Bill Clinton is saying that because Epstein donated a lot of money to the Clinton Foundation, he used the plane a few times, but didn't go to the island, never been to the island, this, that, and the other thing. But
Dave, if I knew that one of the ways that Epstein was making his money was selling sex to these little girls and boys, even though I'm not going to his island, the fact that I'm making use of his jet, knowing that jet was probably bought and paid for by the sex of these children, if nothing else, it would make me feel dirty. Okay.
Well, you wouldn't use it if you knew.
Correct.
But what if when it goes to court, you've never been there? You've never had any conversation with him. You don't know what's going on there.
Affiliation of using a jet, I'll probably just get slapped on the hand. We should have known better. Don't use the guy's jet. The fact that, when the jet lands, I would have to think that the manifest has to be signed off saying that, Randy made it safely here, Dave made it safely here, Trump made it safely here, Clinton made it, the whole passenger just made it to the island. Now, at that point, you're guilty of sin, and you go to court.
Well, you are, but I'm assuming what Bill Clinton is saying is, I used the jet to go from point A to point B. I was the only one on the jet. I've never been to the island. I just knew the man because he donated money to the foundation, and he made the jet available. And if you look at the records of the foundation, they show, Epstein donated the use of his plane on this day at this time, worth this much money. And, the question then becomes, do we believe that that's what he did? Or when it goes to court and it's in court and the pilot who was on the pilot and flight crew of the jet says, no, Mr. Clinton, this is where you went. Here's the manifest that shows that you got on here and you got off on the island. What you did on the island, we can't prove, but we can prove that you were on the island.
Right. So at that point, I'm guilty because there's no way in hell I'm not going to see, the little girls are around in skimpy outfits being sexually abused by. But to just simply use the guy's plane to fly around, the worst case scenario is I'm going to feel guilty. I feel dirty knowing that this plane might have been bought, by the sale of sex. Now, punishment-wise, okay. So obviously, this information is being released now because we had an election coming up in November. Mm-hmm. Very big, very important elections coming up. Okay. And Trump is still running for president. He's still very viable. And at this point, he's probably going to win the election. So they need something to knock him out.
Right.
And releasing this list with his name on it may be what they're hoping is going to tarnish him enough that people will say, my God, he used Epstein's plane. I'm not going to vote it. Just like what Jerry was saying. Jerry was saying that he should be shot back in the head. We need to be very careful about our commentary as far as shooting and killing people, because the last thing that anyone in broadcast world needs is to have the commentary where we want to shoot these people, we want to shoot and make sure they're dead, and God forbid someone hears or watches the program. So, what? I'm going to do it because he said it should be done. I'm going to go out and I'm going to kill these people. So, so we have to be very careful in today's world about the commentary, how we're going to react to the illegal shenanigans going on. Now, will these folks go to see this out of court? I doubt it. These people are all very wealthy. They are
at the least, none of it will get to court.
Correct.
Until after the 2024 election.
Right. Just like with Hunter Biden. All that, this guy should be in prison. Look at the videos and the pictures and the victims. He should be in prison, but he's not. Why? Because he is connected. Mm-hmm. Poor Trump. I bet you 10 cents, if nothing else, Trump's going to get nailed because he's a Republican, he's a conservative. And right now, the Democrats are in control. They control the three-letter outfits organizations. They control the court system, and they are going to make sure that something finally sticks to Trump.
Mm-hmm. You're right, and that's the problem. You know, I mean, I'm not going to do a broadcast where I'm going to say this person needs a bullet in the back of the head. This person needs to be hanging from a tree. I'm just not going to do that. I'm just going to say this person needs to get an opportunity to explain their case. And if you want it, I'll say it this way: if that's what people want, either he's guilty until he proves he's innocent, or he's innocent until he proves he's guilty.
But unfortunately, for the, and the reason why I wanted to come on was to address the issue, because for the past 15, 20 minutes, one of your guests have been saying about shooting these people in the back of the head. And I understand the anger that of what's going on in our world, and that these people are still walking around and still breathing God's air when they should be in prison, or they, if they're found guilty of treason. I believe the law is still on the books saying that if you're guilty of treason, you're hung, or you face a firing squad, or you face life in prison.
Right.
But you as the host, the owner of the show, sitting there, you need to be very aware that it's going to reflect back on you. Just like your guest has his rules on his program as to what can be said or not said. You need to be very careful yourself, Dave, that when these things are being said, you need to squash it, because I don't want to see anything happen to you.
No, I understand and I appreciate it, but I have done this for, I think, I've been saying 4.5, but I think it's actually somewhere between 3.5 and 4 years. But
going on 30, right?
And,
you feel like they're doing it for your whole life.
It feels like it.
I mean, you and I have our falling outs, and we block each other. We come back. We hate. We love. We kiss. We make up, and I still consider you a friend. So I'm trying to just,
I understand and I appreciate it too. But I've always
make sure you're aware of, even though you're not saying it, if you're not putting a stop to it,
right.
It's just like Trump. He's using Epstein's plane, even though he's not going to the island. It could be construed,
no, I know.
A guilty person.
I know, but and I've said this before about this broadcast that we're on now is, and I'm going to use you as an example. You could do a broadcast where you say you think he's guilty as sin and he needs to be put up against the wall, facing the wall, and all of that, and it's done. This broadcast that I'm doing, I think, has lasted as long as it has because people know they can come on and say whatever they want to say, however they want to say it. And sometimes I do have to take fault for it. We were talking about, like I said, we were talking about someone who watches and is active in the groups asks questions about how to get medical waiver. And we talked about that for a while. And it turns out that YouTube said, we're going to delete this much, cut out this much of the broadcast because you were talking about it. So, but my point is that, I think I've lasted on Facebook doing this as long as I've been doing it. I don't know why. And I can't tell you because, like I said, you could do a broadcast where you say this person is guilty of sin and they need to hang from the biggest oak tree until they're dead. And you might get your account taken away. You might get kicked off for 6 months. You might get kicked off for a year. I don't know why. And I don't want to hear anybody say it's only because you get 130, 180, 200 views on any one night. I don't know why they don't nail me the way they might nail anybody else. I mean, I want to say it's probably because, the number of people
like you, Dave.
Well, they do, or the number of views that they get, the number of views that they let me get, they figured nobody's watching, so nobody's paying any attention.
Now, the other thing you were talking about.
Plus, I'm a candidate for Facebook CEO 2024 again. Anyway, Facebook CEO for 2024 again, and it would look kind of bad if they took my account away from me during the annual campaign cycle. Not that I expected, even if I got elected, I would get the job anyway.
Now the other thing you're talking about was about the 6.5 million Jews that were killed during World War II.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know a lot.
It's not all that 6.5 million. From what I understand, it's not all Jews. But my point is that 6.5 million people died in
gas chambers, things like that,
at the hands of the Germans, and God didn't come down and do anything.
Well, see,
and it was a response to Jerry's again saying that nothing's being done. I don't understand why God, if he's looking down every morning, allows this to happen.
I'm not saying I'm an expert on the Bible, but I do know that from what I've read and what I heard in sitting in the church pew from the minister is that God chose the Jews as His chosen people, okay, and He gave whoever, I don't know names, so don't hold me to names, but he gave them a set of rules to live by, okay. And I know that God said, as long as you live by the rules I've put down on you, I will continue to bless you. You pray before you go into battle, you will win. That's why when I know the one battle where they were going against the enemy had thousands of soldiers, and so today, and God wanted to show His people just how much He loved them and the power that He had, and told him to keep cutting away His own soldiers. He has a small number. And that small number of Jewish soldiers went against a huge army and kicked ass. Why? Because
part of the reason that they kicked ass, the holiday is called Sukkot, and the story, the way I heard it, was that at night there was not enough Jewish soldiers to take on this big, huge army that they were battling against. So they went down on the battlefield and they built, 1,000 huts, so that when sunrise came up and the enemy was looking down on where the battlefield was going to be, they thought they obviously have enough soldiers to win this battle because of all these huts that they must have slept in. That supposedly the enemy turned around and went home. But the other story was that Egyptian bondage, God said to Moses, I will free you. You agree to become my people, and you put your faith in me, and I will honor you with that. And then the 10 Commandments came down, and the 10 rules, and everybody uses the 10 Commandments anyway. It's not just the Jews. It just seems to be 10 rules, and that doesn't really matter what religion you are and what side of God's brain you're talking to. But
the point I'm trying to make is that I'm not a scholar of the Bible, but I heard and I read enough that that God says, as long as you are in good favor with me and your worship only me as your God, I'll continue to bless you, and I'll bless any nation who supports you and so forth. But when you're out of the blessing of God, I will punish you. And that's where you had the situation where here Israel is huge, they're big, they're wealthy, and they decided to start marrying outside of their faith, and now they're worshiping the gods. And even though they were warned, they kept doing it. So he had their soldiers come over, invade Israel, destroy it, take you guys into slavery for hundreds of years, Then you guys got down on your knees. You pray, God, please, I'm sorry, and then God rebuilds you. And it's just like a father who is trying to teach his children the rules that they must follow. And if you don't follow the rules, you're going to hand spanked or you're going to butt spanked.
But this wasn't, I don't think this was anything like that. This was a demented man named Adolf Hitler decided that he was going to take on every country of the world until he was the king of the world. And part of it was his own anger that his mother was actually Jewish. Her father, his grandfather, was Jewish, and he was upset that Jews were wealthy lawyers and they owned the banks and this and that and the other stuff. So this isn't anything that God.
I also heard that he got.
That's not anything that God.
I also
got
heard
angry
he got
at
sexual
us and said,
disease from a Jewish girl, and that's why he was going nuts because it went untreated. And that's another storyline. But either way, getting back to the Epstein list and the election coming just a few months away. This is my take, okay? And I know I've mentioned this on several other shows, and things, they're not in agreement with what I believe. It's just fine because we're not going to agree with each other. But what I believe is that I don't think Trump is going to get to the election day. I'm not saying he's going to be assassinated. I'm not going to say he's going to be in jail. But I think something is going to take place because right now the Democrats know that he will win the election because of the polls. They slap him with this. They try to accuse him of this crime, and boom, his polls go sky high. They slap him with a fine, or he can't talk about this. His polls go sky high. So whatever they do against him, it's not working. So,
but you said. But you said, though, that now, and I'm going to put words in your mouth that you didn't use, but it's basically the same thing. Like when these wackos watch the school shootings and they watch the 27 hours of news commentary and analysis, they learn everything they can. His name is on the list. They think he's guilty. Someone's going to go find him and be judge, jury, and executioner. So his if it was me, I'd be saying, guys better double up my security, and I might want to limit what I do until, we see how this phases out. But there are people that have been on this broadcast and on others that have said they don't think that, like you just said, they don't think that he will make it to the election, let alone that if he is elected, they don't think he'll make it to inauguration day. And that could be, it's very sad that, two guys who think the world of the world are discussing that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's sad that's with all the things going on in the world. It's sad that that's what we're talking about. With all the bad things going on in the United States, it's too bad that we couldn't. That Epstein did this and turned out to be the scumbag that he was.
The thing is that the Democrats have been saying in roundabouts way that someone needs to take him out, and they've used those words. They haven't come right out and said he needs to be assassinated.
They won't.
They're putting out information there that that is the intent. Just like when they say go out there and make a noise, find them, find out where they live, find out where they eat, and their people do it. That's why they show up at the restaurants, the dining rooms, and they show up at their houses. It won't take much for someone to successfully, get around Trump's security and do harm. I mean, look at what just happened to the one guy's running for minister of his country. What the hell country was it? He got stabbed in the neck. Oh, I forget what country it was, but the guy's running for prime minister. He's surrounded by people. Someone managed to get between all that and shove a knife into the guy's neck. Now, I don't know if the guy died, but that's beside the point. There are people out there who will.
They will. And it's sad.
Yes.
They will, and it's sad. And I don't understand it, but also, after Jerry left because his internet was acting up, I spent some time before you came on saying, we're kind of stuck in this thing of it's a continuous loop of things that we talk about. You and I, when we were doing broadcasts, used to call it the daily regurgitation. It didn't matter what order we did Monday's discussion in. It was slightly different on Wednesday and slightly different on Friday, but it was basically the same regurgitation because that's all we talked about. And now, aside from the Epstein, the latest full Epstein list, it's the same thing.
Yeah, but that seems to be what was in the news right now. What's the news? Epstein's list, the New York trial, the Colorado, taking him off the ballot, then of course then you have your people who are whether it's not as true or not about Nikki Haley not being able to run for president because her parents aren't legally citizens.
She also did something. It wasn't recently. It was while she was governor of South Carolina, where she brought a Chinese company into South Carolina, and they ended up with 20,000 acres of land, and I don't know. People think that's something that she should not be elected for doing that, but I don't know. It's just getting to everybody's looking for something bad about the other person. It really just needs to be people telling people how they're going to get us out of the mess that we're in right now.
Dave, I'm at a point now where I'm just so disgusted with the whole politics. I mean, it's like the 85,000 children that have gone missing across the border. It's the 300,000 illegals crossing the border every month. It's sickening. And to see the passports of all the different countries. China, some of them are our enemies, and they're managed to get over. And at some point, someone's going to do a transmission through the radio waves. Is going to say, "Okay, folks, it's time to. Here's where we stored the guns. Here's where we stored the rifle. Here's where we stored the ammunition. Go get it. It's time to act."
Whether or not it's true, China seems to make public comments all the time. They don't need to come send their military to invade us. There's already enough people. There's already enough people here. Just waiting, like you said, just waiting for the phone to ring to tell them, for the chip in their head to ring, to tell them it's time to go. To go do it, and it's sad. It really is. It's just
it's even more sad. And I want to close with this because I guess you're close to your time, anyways. Is that when I started doing the genealogy many years ago, it was mostly just for fun for myself, for my family. And I started putting some stuff on Facebook a couple years back, what I was doing. And I'm going to go through the whole backstory of how I started doing it for some, some money coming into my bank. But at some point, I helped someone and the guy paid me $50. And I thought, damn, I just made $50 for finding stuff, and I love doing it. So I started, building myself up, as on Facebook. And next thing I know is that 98% of my clients are from the South. And it's not something I advertise to. It's not something I try, but it's because they're the ones who are looking for their family roots. They want to know if they have a connection to a Confederate soldier, and that's what I'm able to do. Besides, connection to Scott, kings and so forth. Mm-hmm. But I looked into my own genealogy. I said, damn, I got ancestors who also fought for the South. And that explains why I feel so deeply about the South and what
I'm the only person on Facebook that Randy Rhoads hasn't found royalty in either side of his family.
Well, unfortunately, I stopped doing yours because you and I had a huge falling out that time.
We did.
And I have no problem starting back up again.
It'll take you too long to dig it back up again.
To dig you back up, that's a good word. But now what we have is, you have the war between the South and the North, the war of secession, or how the Northerners call it, the Civil War. And you have all these monuments and statues that were built by famous people to honor the dead. But you have a small portion of the American population saying, I am offended by that statue. I'm offended by that flag. And I don't want to hear. I don't want to see it. So, the Congress and the Senate have passed a law for the Department of Defense to change the names of the bases, change the name of the streets, destroy the statue, destroy the monuments. And they just recently destroyed one that was designed as a way to mend the bridge between the North and the South. And they destroyed another one that was just a mother and a child. I don't understand why. And that conversation came up in our house the other day because with pancakes for breakfast. And someone said that General Mills had changed the name of Aunt Jemima to Pearl Street Milling Company, which is what they were called back then before they put the Aunt Jemima brand on it. And my whole thing about it is that it was stupid, because the Jemima family has made billions off of General Mills, so they don't care. And it's not a negative story. It's just how life was back then. Mrs. Butterworth, they did the same thing. They took the Indian off the Land O'Lakes butter, the Indian princess. And we grew up with Land O'Lakes butter for years. And that was the butter my mother bought. And the Indian princess was on the box. And I mean, to me, it's just, sometimes political correctness just goes too far. A conquering nation, one of the big things they do is they try to erase the heritage of the conquered. And they're still doing that to the folks in the South. They are still punishing them for the war. And one of the biggest things that they're doing is destroying and erasing their heritage. I reached out to my grandson because he's going to college next year to do stuff with computers. And I have a client who's going to pay me starting in February to do live broadcasts in support of the South. And it's not going to be a raw Civil War kind of thing. It's going to be but the lifestyle on how they lived and what they did. But I reached out to him and I said, could you create some images for me so I can use that to advertise the upcoming broadcast.
Yep.
So he asked me what I wanted. That's what I did. So I sent him some things that I used in the past, and they had a Confederate flag in them. And his response back was, "No, I won't do it for you." And I
Okay.
reached out to him. I said, "Why won't you do it for me?" And he said, "Because you support slavery."
Oh God.
And I had to explain to him, the whole thing about the slavery issue. He went and read what I sent him. He went and watched videos of the black soldier who goes around the nation teaching about the blacks in the Confederacy and teaching about the flag and how the blacks also support the flag. He went and watched the video. And I said, "Where did you learn this about slavery where you won't even look or read what I sent you?" He said, "School." So I said to him, "Just so you know, when you go to college, your college and your professors are going to primarily be left-wing liberals. And besides them and your fellow students, they're going to try and teach you the socialist way of life. And if you're going to be, taken up into this whole thing of socialism, and you won't even talk about it." He hasn't talked.
You probably don't want to attend her college graduation.
Oh, he hasn't talked to me since.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, it's just. I mean, I understand, but if someone doesn't want to do it, then they don't want to do it. But I've dealt with that at different times in my professional career, and I would just look at someone and go, if you're not going to do it, just because it's something I want to do and something you don't want to do, then I'm going to go find somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
And I asked you first because you're family, but.
Yeah. So, I mean, and so it's still ongoing. So,
I hope it works out.
I just there's no way of removing the hatred of an ideal. Whether it be because you're Jewish or because you have a Confederate flag or because you're a certain color, it has to start from somewhere. And my little part of my life is to show people that just like with DNA, with ancestry, we all came from a very small group of people. So we're all interrelated to each other. I mean, you have to remember when the immigrants first started coming to the New World, they came in ships that only carried maybe 50 to 100, maybe 200 passengers besides the crew. And these folks are ones who created the settlements, and then they died from illness or they died from Indian attacks or whatever. So a very small pool of people created our nation. So we are all interrelated. And I find out through my ancestry.
But go back further, because if God created Adam and then God used part of Adam to create Eve, aren't we all somehow related to them? Everybody, I mean, it's for lack of putting it better, it's an incestuous family of.
Yeah, because your brother and sister were having the good old time in the hay and making babies,
Yeah,
and they lived for 1,000 years, so. You figure, one mother, a healthy mother, could possibly have a baby a year. And so she could have 800, 900 babies. And like you said,
I was talking to somebody once about, we were going to touch upon that on a broadcast, and we were on the phone. And I think for 45 minutes, we tried to outdo the other one. Well, my father is really my brother because my grandmother is actually biologically his sister because my great grandmother was.
Well, my one client, his ancestors were Mormon, and he had, I think it was like 14 wives at the same time.
They were sent here to protect the Jews, and not any one of them that ever knocked on my door could tell me, protect me from what.
So, and I had the picture. Here's the 14 moms and all their children, So it's like, dang, dude, 14 wives. Oh, you had some fun.
It amazes me that even forget about the 14 wives and having a bunch of kids with each wife, being the father of all of them, but the husband and wife who were like a farming family, and they had 14 kids because they had to have kids to help on the farm.
Yeah.
And then, their kids evidently, would grow up and get married, and they'd become part of the family. But I mean, it must be great in an Amish neighborhood of farms. It must be fantastic because you and your wife have 14 who go off and get married, and they have 14, and before you know it, you have 14 grandchildren and 14 great grandchildren, and
yeah. And the Amish only have the Amish only get married at one point in the year because of harvesting. So
Yeah.
there's like 1 month out of the year, and that's when all the marriages take place.
Yeah, they can't have. Yeah, they have to harvest the crops so that they can put the tent up on the flat land.
Yeah. I mean, I came that close to being one.
Yeah.
Already did.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful lifestyle if you could do without the electricity, do without the the cell phone and the internet. It's a really
come
nice.
on, you're talking.
Yeah. You would have to get rid of them.
No.
I don't think you could last more than an hour at most without your computer.
No, but what I'd probably have to do is get permission to order a special Peloton bicycle, exercise bike that powers my electricity, but it would only be limited. I'd only get so much, I'd only get so much, but I don't know. I probably, to be honest with you, say at some point I probably wouldn't miss it because I'd be living a lifestyle where I wasn't dependent on it.
Yeah.
Well, that day may come anyway because after the 2024 election, the Democrats may shut off Facebook anyway. So,
yeah,
what am I going to do? And I joke that if they come and knocked on my door because they don't like what I'm doing as a conservative patriot on Facebook, they'd probably just take me away and brainwash me to be one of them. And then like how Tokyo Rose broadcast at night, beating our troops. I'd just be I'd probably become the #1 rated Democrat broadcast on Facebook.
There you go. There you go.
Which
yeah, come on, Dave. I just wanted to jump on and talk a little bit about that. To give you advice, warn you, whatever. That be very cautious of the what you guys talk about. I don't want it to happen to you.
It was kind of. I mean, I had a plan for the broadcast. I overslept a half hour, and sat down in the chair. Got to. I mean, I always tell people it takes 30 minutes to set it up. I got it done in like 10, and I almost set it up before so that it'd be ready to go. And then like I said, I allow an hour to sit and go over my notes and decide what I'm going to do. And but most of the time I tell people it's really as easy as it looks. You just fire up the StreamYard, turn on your camera, turn on your mic, and hope that people watch and come in the live chat and comment. Some nights you make it, and some nights you don't.
Yeah.
And so I hope no one was insulted tonight. If they were, please come back on Tuesday and
you get insulted again.
well, you may get insulted again, or come back on Tuesday and insult me.
Yeah. So Dave, between now and between now and I think first week of February, when I'll probably start going live with this new program, I got to come up with a good name. Okay, I need a name for the show.
Why can't it be All Roads Lead to Home?
No, it won't be. It's just going to be
All Roads Lead to the South.
There you go.
All Roads Lead to the South's going to do it again. Although we may not be able to use the part the South's going to do it again because that might belong to the estate of Charlie Daniels.
It's all.
And on Facebook, you don't even want to say something that's copyrighted because you'll end up getting. You're just saying something that's copyrighted, you'll end up getting a copyright violation. Most of them are actually, they understand we're citizen journalists. We don't know what is legal and what isn't legal. And some of them then will say to me, but you know what is and isn't, it's in your background, blah, 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 blah. And then we talk and they just say, no, just don't do it again.
My wife is starting to find these things out now. She belongs to a whole bunch of groups where it's mostly 60s, 70s, 80s music. And what she's doing is she's taking the video and she's reposting it. But somehow the way she's reposting it, she's starting to get these copyright protected warnings.
Okay. What I would tell you to do is if you're going to take music off of YouTube, for example, and put it into your broadcast, look for something that says either official video of that song or look for the band's official YouTube channel and go there. Most of the time, I mean, the 60s, 70s, 80s groups, they made all their money off their music. If they're still touring, like Kiss, he's made, he's not going to come after you, really. If you're doing
I thought his group was retired.
For what, the 900th time? But I mean, some of those that I've met over the years, they'll say, that song that you talked about is like 30 years old now, 40 years old now. We made so much money off of it, we don't care.
Yeah.
But Facebook, it flashes on Facebook software. Tracking software, it's copyrighted, so we have to let them know that you used it. And if anything, it's Facebook trying to screw you up.
Yeah, I believe that.
My last one was I ended up getting a copyright violation from DRM, Digital Rights Management. Mike Smith is the name of the group, and it's like a law firm, but they manage the digital rights to copyrights for everything. And I got this. What I got from them was they wanted to know what I did they wanted a copy of the broadcast so they could figure out what violation Facebook told them I did. It ended up finally, my lawyer said no. They either figure it out or you don't, or you just let it go. They finally let it go because I just said no. I'm not doing your work for you. If you can't find that,
don't make it easy for them. If
you can't prove that there was a violation, then screw you. And I think what it was it wasn't even mine. It was somebody uploaded a piece of copyrighted videotape that we used the right way, and it was just something stupid. I don't know, and it's, I don't know anything. I mean, go ahead, throw a copyright violation at me. What are you going to get? You're going to get an Android 10 tablet, an Android 11 tablet, two Chromebooks that are this one's just about to be not supported any longer, one that isn't supported any longer, and an old RCA Windows 10 tablet that miraculously is still supported, and it's about 15 years old.
Wow.
So I mean, But anyway, it was always a pleasure to have you on, Randy, and come back whenever you want. And sometimes we get loud. Sometimes we get loud. Everybody gets loud at everybody because everybody yells at everybody once in a while, and everybody leaves. Sometimes I yell at everybody, and everybody leaves because I shut it off.
The one thing I tell my wife is this, and I've seen it now with my Southern groups, and I see it with the broadcasters that I'm affiliated with from time to time. Is that in both situations we both are in agreement that we see the world has changed, and we're trying to bring it back to center. And we're trying to build a better world to leave to our children, both the the Southern groups plus our own groups.
Yeah.
But somehow, for some reason, we all have this damn in-house fighting. Someone says something and it pisses off someone else. And they start arguing and fighting, and the another comes in.
We have the last session like that was. I won't name names of either one, but someone was on. Two regulars were on, and regular number 1 said something, and regular number 2 refused to answer it, and it just went to the point where they were, and it got ugly because I didn't back. One person got mad at me because I didn't back them for
right.
And,
Stephen Tolliver said this. When we come onto a show, we got to put our shit behind us, our selfishness behind us, our desire to be the person, that everyone's talking about behind us. Come on board, be in agreement. Just imagine how much that we can do if we're all in agreement and we can talk for 2 hours or 2.5 hours. We come out of that session with a plan to help make this nation better. Or in the case of the Southern groups, right now they're fighting each other for control of the South because
I used to tell the guests on the paid 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. radio show. I used to tell them. The one who gets to make the final ultimate decision is the one who gets paid the most, and that's me. And I'm on this station because they pay me the most to be here. Yeah. So, and they handed me, a stack of paper this thick that I had 15 minutes to look at before I went live, and it's just it really is as simple as I keep saying. We just turn on StreamYard, make a fancy studio, and turn on a camera, turn on a mic, and just talk.
I need 5 more flags for my office, and I'm good to go.
I saw that picture that said your new studio with that beautiful monitor behind you.
Yeah.
And my daughter-in-law, her office is on the other side of the bedroom studio, and she's got, I want to say 32-inch. It's not 32. It's maybe 27, probably 24-inch flat screen on her desk, and I was like, "That's all I need."
That monitor there is 32 inches.
That's all I need.
A 32-inch smart monitor, and that one's 27.
That's all I need. All I need, right? All I need is a 32-inch flat screen on the wall that I'm looking at. A wireless keyboard. My headset's wireless, and people laugh at me because I don't always have my big fancy. I got to move things around. My big fancy broadcaster microphone. Well, you can't see it because I can't get it in there so you can see it. But my big fancy broadcaster mic, and I think think my next computer is going to be a desktop, but I have to figure out where to fit it.
I'm sure someone could give you advice as to where to fit it.
I'm probably sitting on where they could fit, on where they say to fit it. But
that's what I got going.
We are the
go to bed.
We are the No Budget Broadcasting Company for a reason, because I spent the last 2 days making 2 outdated, non-supported Android tablets keep working for another few years. But hey, Randy, I'm glad that you came in, and I wish you all the success in 2024 with All Roads Lead to Home. Anybody should join the All Roads Lead to Home group, read up on what Randy is doing, become his friend on Facebook, message him, and give him 15 minutes. Give him generic, your parents, your grandparents. Give him your parents and your grandparents, and he can probably go back and find 3 more generations.
Yeah.
And in 15 minutes, he'll write you back with pictures and all of this and stuff. And you'll be very happy. And if you want him to do it on an ongoing basis, because unfortunately things do cost, time is money. From what I understand, his rates are, I think we used to say it was $250 a month. And
both right now it's $215. But I figured it out, Dave. Yeah, this one guy
an hour.
This one guy reached out to me. Oh, it was Nick. Okay.
Yeah.
Nick wanted to know, what do I actually own as far as what I'm doing for him. So I explained to him everything that I do and what he actually owns as far as takeaway. And when I was doing it, this is no lie. When I take away the time that I spend, I'm charging $3.58 a month an hour.
My cousin has done my mother's side of the family as far back as I can remember. And every once in a while he'll release an updated tree, because parents have kids. Now we have grandkids. We have a granddaughter coming in May. That's the funny thing. We have a granddaughter who hasn't even signed her contract yet. She's going to owe the government every penny that she's ever going to make.
Yeah, that's amazing when you think about it. Yes, well, Dave, I got to get going.
All right, Randy, I could keep you here longer, but I know you got to go. Plus, I got to go to bed pretty soon anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure your wife's saying, "Get off! I'm going to sleep."
It's usual. Well, she's been off this week. She goes back to work next week, and that's what the deal was. I would be done by 9:00, so that when she was going to bed, so that she could be asleep at 9:30. She's early. She's the original early to bed and early to rise. I'm usually when she's working, I don't roll out of bed until about 7:00 in the morning, because she'll leave me my first cup of coffee before she goes, and I'll sit over and start doing my day stuff. But anyway, Randy, it's always a pleasure. You're welcome back anytime. And if I yell at you, just yell back at me.
Sound like a friend. You take care.
All right, Randy. Always a pleasure. You ready? Randy Rose, he popped his own parachute for me. But sometimes the broadcasts where you just don't have a plan and you just hope people come on and join me are the best. And I really do try to keep my voice volume down. My wife doesn't like when my hands start flailing all around. And, I just say, my background was, I was the guy sitting in a studio of a 50,000 watt AM station. And, I was the only one in the studio. So if I yelled loud, then I yelled loud, and my hands moved all around. And so I don't care. Originally, as I tell people, 7 years ago, when I started thinking about what the next step was, since we were settled on Facebook and we had groups going and pages going, I thought about internet radio only because when it became time to graduate, I didn't graduate. I dropped out short of getting my AA because I hadn't finished all of the actual real classes. I had passed all of the core classes, and I didn't want my face on TV. When I called me up because I got handed something at graduation. It wasn't my AA, but it was something else. And I remember Doc Pelzel, the instructor, saying, "There's Dave Globin, the only person I know that has a face for radio." I didn't really want my face on. But Jane O'Malley, I'm glad you like it. And Becca Joyce, like I said, look up Becca Joyce, Becca Joyce. She is an ordained minister, and message her and tell her you're looking for the kit to get a medical waiver to either not wear masks or get the shot in the next round when they start pushing them. And if you're watching on YouTube or the YouTube censors are watching, we're just giving information to people on what to do if they want to look into medical waiver or religious waiver. And the laws are on the books that they can, in fact, do this as long as they complete whatever they have to do to get the waiver that they're looking for. So YouTube, please don't zap 20 or 30 seconds out of tonight's broadcast. But if you want to, go ahead. I really don't care. YouTube's not going to be the primary source of sharing Boogie with the Bull broadcasts off of Facebook much longer. We will make the kick over to Rumble. We will still be on Facebook. People I know leave Facebook and they go someplace else. I don't want to do that. We just want to add so that we have a greater distribution area where more people can watch. Anyway, it's 9:27. My wife wants to go to bed. Bath is done. I want to go to bed. As soon as I lay down, I'll probably fall asleep. Just remind me the next time to set the alarm clock for 30 minutes earlier, not the same time that I had set it for, and sit down and do it. Anybody watching, you're more than welcome to be on a Boogie with a Bull broadcast. There are 8 cameras available, me plus 7. So you're welcome to come on anytime. Just ask for the link or let me know ahead of time that you want to be on, and we'll make sure you have the link. Double B's for victory. This Boogie with a Bull broadcast is coming to an end. This is the part of the program where I look into the camera and say to you, you've been watching Boogie with the Bull Thursday Night Live, a copyrighted presentation of the No Budget Broadcasting Company. We own it all, and if you want to challenge that, go for it. It's 2024. And we promise to behave as much as possible. So we'll hit that one. Double B's for victory again. This Boogie with a Bull broadcast